Hi everyone. As you're going through your revisions, I just wanted to go over the quotation notations one more time so you can double check and make sure that you have all of the necessary components of your piece. All right. If you're quoting something that someone said, use the full quotation marks followed by the apostrophe mark or like the half a quotation mark. And you can see in the example that I've given you here, after the charity workers tried to reason with Scrooge about a potential donation, he was finally able to turn them away with words that can only come from a cold, heartless person. If they would rather die, said Scrooge, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. You notice anywhere Scrooge is talking, I've offset it with the little mini quotation mark, and the whole quote itself from the story is in the full quotation marks. I also wanted to remind you that unless you mention the page number before using the quote, always include the page number in parentheses after the quotation marks, but before the end punctuation. If you were using an e-reader and the e-reader had different page numbers than our book, that's totally fine. Just make sure you have some kind of marking as to where it was in the text. So you notice in this case, I set up here on page 62, Scrooge insures the ghosts, and then I continue with the quote, so I don't have to use the page number. Or I could also not use the on page 62 there, and I could just jump right into the quote, and at the end, use the page number. And the last piece I wanted to talk to you about is the follow-up. And we've talked about kind of the analyzing and the reasoning and being able to explain to your readers how your evidence connects to your claim. And I wanted to give an example of someone who I think has done a pretty good job of that, and that's Portia. Now, Portia's claim is that the theme of the story is that Dickens is trying to remind us that being a solitary an oyster isn't the best or only way to live your life. And in both of these quotes, after following up the quote, she adds by describing what's happening in that scene as well as how it connects to her idea. So Scrooge is realizing that he enjoyed all these silly games and contagious laughter. He's realizing that he enjoys the company and begins to be willing to change. So here she's starting to show the beginning of change of Scrooge, and she hasn't just left the quote there. She shows how it connects to her idea of being solitary and the theme that Dickens is trying to get across. This is also evident at the bottom here, where it talks about that scene where people are kind of laughing at almost how ridiculous the change is in Scrooge. And it says Scrooge realized for himself that being solitary was ridiculous and learned to take life as much more joyous thing. He achieved changing himself and living a better life. She's followed up and she's shown how that connects to the idea again of being solitary. So don't forget when you're using the quotes to make sure they're formatted properly and that you have the follow-up that shows why those quotes are there and how it proves your claim. The most important part, the most important skill we're trying to master here is so what? How does that evidence support your claim? Thank you.